Let me tell you about a memory that stayed with me for more than 60 years. Not because it was touching or emotional or meaningful, but because it involved something so bizarre, so truly bewildering, that even now I sometimes wonder whether I imagined it. I didn't, but I wish I had. Because what I found in that house, later in this story, is something no sheltered 17-year-old should ever have to process. Let's say it involved a carpet, and a decision so questionable it deserves its own documentary. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Hello there, I'm Tom. I've had more jobs than sense. TV apprentice, engineer, aircraft landing systems technician, shop owner, firefighter, police officer, teacher, and that's just the stuff I remember. I'm sure there's a few more hiding somewhere. But today's story takes us all the way back to when I was 17 years old and only slightly more foolish than I am now. Back when I was 17 and working in a TV repair shop, I thought I knew everything there was to know about TVs. I'd spent enough time surrounded by broken sets, flickering screens, and valves that glowed like miniature electric fires. And paint tins, well, that's another story. So naturally, armed with the confidence, and not much else, I set off into the world to become a fully fledged TV repair technician. I landed a job in a small shop in the northeast of England, not far from the Durham coast, which I managed quite well. Now this was a pretty poor area 60 years ago. People didn't have much money, if any. But I'll tell you this, they made up for it with character. Some of the things I saw in those houses gave me enough amusement to last a lifetime, and enough nightmares to keep things interesting. There was one household in particular, not my favourite call-out by any means. In fact, every time their old wheezing TV developed yet another fault, I'd say a quiet prayer that it would finally give up the ghost entirely, not for their sake, but for mine. On my first visit, I stepped inside and was immediately met with, how shall I put this? A smell. A smell powerful enough to be classified as a biological hazard today. I can't describe it, not because I don't want to, but because after all these years, even though I can still taste it, I still haven't found the right combination of words or scientific terminology to capture its essence. I was shown into the living room where the injured old TV stood, looking as miserable as I felt. I switched it on and waited. Back then, television sets took several minutes for the valves to warm up, which gave you plenty of time to observe things you very much wished you hadn't. That's when I noticed it. The carpet. Now I understood poverty. I understood worn-out furniture. But this carpet was on another level entirely. It was what we called a proggy mat, or it had been. A handmade rug crafted from old clothing, cut into small strips and progged into sacking stretched across a frame. When done well, these mats could be beautiful. My grandmother made many, full of colour, pattern and care. Works of art really, but this one, oh dear, it looked less like a mat and more like something a Victorian scientist would keep under a glass and poke with a stick. It was filthy, matted together, and so fused to the floor that I suspected it was now load-bearing. Then I noticed something else, little white dots across its surface. Then more, and more. until the horrific truth became clear. These were cigarette ends, dozens of them, all trodden into the fabric like some kind of grotesque mosaic. In that moment, I decided two things. I would fix the TV as quickly as humanly possible. I would not, under any circumstances, accept the cup of tea I was being offered, but get out of there sharpish. Both decisions were wise. A few weeks passed before the shop sent me back for another repair. A moment I faced with all the enthusiasm of a man walking to his own execution. The same smell greeted me at the door, same house, same TV, same dull dread settling in my stomach. But something was different. The living room felt brighter, different somehow, changed. I couldn't place it at first. I actually stood there for a full minute, pretending to examine the back of the TV, while my brain desperately tried to identify what had shifted, and then it hit me. That carpet. The monstrous, fossilized proggy mat. It was still there, but it looked different. Oh, surely not. They couldn't have. But they had. It was the same mat, still fused to the floor like geological strata, still filled with cigarette ends like a giant ashtray, but now it was blue. They'd painted the carpet blue, not cleaned, not replaced, not even brushed, just painted. Every hardened tuft and every embedded cigarette stub now trapped under a glossy layer of bright blue paint, as if someone had attempted to redecorate using only despair and a roller. And that moment has stayed with me for 6 decades, the day I learned that some mysteries of housekeeping should never, ever be solved. Thanks for listening to an old man ramble. If you would like to hear more stories from my years fixing TVs, fighting fires, chasing criminals, teaching students, or just trying to survive being young, hit that subscribe button. It helps keep me out of more trouble. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.